I'm back. This is going to be quarter panel part 2, and in this one I don't have to use this to show you anything that's wrong. So let me get set up here. I'll show you a few details about it, but overall it's going on the car and I'm not too worried about this one. Okay, quick look at the back here. Now to start off with, like all of these, they don't have these little steps here for the tail panel to sit in flush. None of them have that. So if you don't do that, what happens is that you end up pushing this out, you push this out, your tail lights don't fit right, they kind of sit funny. So if I end up using this entire quarter panel, I will probably cut, and then bend that in, weld a little bit, grind it out, essentially to replicate that step in there. I don't know if I'm going to use the existing one or use this one yet. I haven't figured that out yet. Now, something else I find interesting is, here's the original piece. I put this on here. Oh, yeah, it helps if you take the screws off first, or the nuts off. All right, let's try that again. Okay, now I put this on here. This is an original quarter, and this is an original piece, and that's horrible. That fit is just, yeah, it's horrible. I come over here to the new one, which I find rather interesting. I put this on here, and it fits really well. It fits far better than the factory quarter panel did. So I don't know if this one was made on just a bad one out of the factory. Who knows? You know, their tolerances were, you know, with what, you know, if you can weld across it, you know, it's like a welder. If you can jump across it, you can weld across it. I think they kind of took the same way in the 60s building cars. But this actually fits here really nice. And that's why I'm hesitant to take this out. And that has to do with, on the other side, I left, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but the lip that's up here, I left that entire lip on the other side, and I rotated the whole thing into place. If I leave this in place, I can do that. If I take this out and I take this off of here, I cannot rotate this quarter onto the car with this in place right here. It's just not possible. So we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Other than that, at the back, the only other issue I have that I noticed right off the bat is down here. This is kind of angled out, so I think that's going to have to end up tucking in a little bit. No big deal. Let me pick you up and go look around at a few other things real quick here. Okay, now some of the things I find interesting. Now you've always got this edge. This edge is just soft, relatively sharp over here. But when you come down to here, and you know, if you guys could reach through the screen to feel this corner here, for most of the way in this area here, is on the new one, is actually a sharper bend than the factory over here. But it's interesting, it's sharper to a point, and then when you start getting, it's kind of close here, it's actually a little bit sharper than the factory one here as well. But pretty much most of the way down here till you start getting into this area here somewhere, it actually goes from being a sharper corner to a more blunt corner. And as you go, it just starts to blunt out and go away. Why that is that way, I don't know. But it's interesting. Now, I'm kind of surprised that this area over here has the sharper bend, because I would expect this area here to have it, because it's more open. It's easier to get tooling in here to do it. So I don't know why that's not a sharp. Doesn't make sense to me. Front edge here. Yeah. All right. Let me open sesame. Open sesame. All right. Let me look here. We're pretty much the same. This is a little bigger here. You got the normal little bubble that you have on these panels, but it all lines up pretty well. It looks very similar all the way down. It's not bad. This one actually has somewhat of the cutouts here on both sides. It's not enough, but it's better than the good mark panel was. Let's see. What else? If you want to look down there, if you look this way, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's kind of angled out a little bit. I may actually have to disconnect it here to pull that up once I get it in place. I'm not sure. But otherwise, it looks like it's going on a car. Oh, and one other is right here. Now, let me get you really close so you can see that. Now, I have the same problem on the other side. When you come in here, this is relatively straight, and all of a sudden it fans out. It fans out in this corner here. So I have to cut here and pull this back over a little bit. Now, these quarter panels, no matter who it is, always have the same problem here. The factory is more this way, more vertical when it comes to this here than these aftermarket ones are. And you know, unless you reuse the factory one, you can't fix that. And what that causes, that actually causes this gap over here to be wider with the new quarter panel. So you've got to deal with that later on somehow. And that could probably mean, you know, welding a little bit onto the edge of the trunk lid. You know, you do what you can. You know, considering this thing was, you know, you're buying a quarter panel that's already roughly what you need for, it was $140. It's a lot better than just a piece of sheet metal. Not complaining. So I got no complaints there. So next thing I'm going to tear into working on this. After that, I've got a rotisserie I want to build. And that's either going to be a simple wooden rotisserie, which will basically lift the car up about... The center point will be in this area here, and actually the car is high enough to roll as it is, where it's sitting. So I've got 2 foot from the ground to the bottom of the pinch welds, and that gives you pretty much still gives you a couple inches of clearance straight underneath. If I do my wood one, I will actually have to raise it up some. If I do a metal one, which will be hydraulic, and it will be much less intrusive, much less material than you see on any other type of rotisserie. Relatively cheap to build. And I don't know if I'm going to go that route. Let me put you guys down here for a second. But I don't know if I'm going to go that route yet. So, I don't know. We'll see. If anybody actually watches this, let me know what you think I should do. Because the hydraulic one would be kind of cool, and it's a totally different design from what anybody else has done. The only thing is that it relies on very tight joints to prevent racking. That's the only issue. So when you do assemble it, all your bolts and your pivot points have to be very tight. They cannot be sloppy. So that's the only catch there. Past that, I am going to be at some point putting the seatbelt anchors in here before I put the torque boxes on, so that way I can slide a piece of steel from the front all the way down to here before I cap it off, and I can weld that in place, because that seatbelt mount is not where it needs to be for the roller doohickeys, the retractors, that's the word. So yep, that's about all I got for now. It's not a bad looking quarter. I measured it. It's within, on the top here, we're within a 32nd, give or take, of what we need to be. Down here, this dimension across here was a tiny bit narrow, but nowhere near what the other one was. Nowhere even close. So I would say this one's a win. This was actually sold to me. They told me it was a Dynacorn. Dynacorn doesn't actually make them, so they buy from whoever. But just so you can see, that's what the box looks like. Here's part numbers. That's the little sticker the factory puts on there. Sorry, stop moving. And the other thing, as I will say, it would likely be from Dynacorn, because I have not seen this sticker on anything but a Dynacorn sold piece of metal. And as we all know, Dynacorn doesn't actually make the stuff. They buy them from suppliers and then just kind of slap their name on it. So, you know, I can't say for sure what this is, other than I guess, you know, it is Glory. Yeah, Glory made that one, so looks like she did a pretty good job on this one. So we'll see how it goes. Other than that, I've been messing with the shop, cleaning it up, making more room, and about to start a bunch more projects and actually get some things done. So see you later.